Hello there. Welcome to my kitchen. I'm Debbie Davis, 4-H Youth Specialist, Northwest Region, and part of your 2020 4-H Camp Crowder team. We are here today to talk about mini cream pies. And when you signed up for the different sessions with our virtual camp this year, you chose the mini pies, and thank you. I'm excited to share my knowledge and love of making pies with you. And maybe this will spark an interest into some more projects in your 4-H world. I did an extensive video this spring, and it's stored in the 4-H resources on the State 4-H Online. And it goes into more depth with the different kinds of pies that you can make. But today we're going to just focus on meringues and a little cream pie that I hope will be tasty for you. I've taken the instructions, so I'll be referring to this and save my book for some other things. I ask you to gather some ingredients at home and have some things prepared before we met to go through making this pie. You were given graham crackers, and I think the instructions said vanilla wafers, but you're smart and you figured out that this is what you'd be making, to make a crumb crust with a little bit of butter to make it stick together. You received some, aren't these cute, the little pie pans? So you're going to make the mini pies, and you may have some leftover pudding, and you can always put that in, or pie filling, and you can put that into a dish and enjoy. I chose vanilla because I can do a lot of things with it. I added coconut to make coconut cream pie. Could do banana, could do chocolate chips, and I might even put some chocolate chips in this and make, kind of like a Mounds bar. That'd be kind of tasty. So vanilla is versatile. Chocolate, butterscotch, and do all kinds of flavors of cream pies. So I ask you to have this ready and your pudding ready. And my pudding's in this bowl right under here. So we'll get it ready to fill shortly into the pie shells. I've asked you to preheat your oven, and I hope you have an adult or someone with you, so just make sure that your safety rules are followed around your oven. Before we start cooking, I had to share my camp shirt with you. I have quite a collection of those over the year. I will wear an apron, just keep everything nice and clean. I've got some soapy dishwater here, but I am going to wash my hands. It's really important these days that we think about our cleanliness, sanitation, and especially working around food. Can't be clean enough. So everything's ready to go, and we'll do our cooking lesson. I hope you have your ingredients ready. I provided you with cream of tartar. You're just going to need a small amount. It comes in the seasoning section at your store. It's cream of tartar. It's an acid, and we'll talk about it when we're using it. Some vanilla for flavoring. Some measuring spoons, a tablespoon, and a half teaspoon, and a quarter of a teaspoon, or a fourth. Cooking helps you really hone in on those fraction skills, and also division if you're having to maybe reduce a recipe. I gave you the graham crackers, and those were cinnamon and sugar flavored. I bet you like those. You didn't take a taste though, did you? My favorite thing I was able to share with you is I purchased an egg separator for everybody. If you've ever tried separating the white from the yolk, and it can be challenging. So I thought, what a great tool for you to add to your kitchen tools and cooking skills is to have an egg separator. So we're going to work with that in just a minute. When we're beating our eggs, we're going to need the wire whips. Turn this so you can see. The wire whips for my electric beater. And I'm using my small beater. I have a large countertop mixer over here I use a lot. However, for this job today, we're just going to use this little hand mixer. And I hope you have that ready. If you're really energetic, you could use a whisk. And this is to incorporate air. So I love my whisks. They're very helpful too. So I'm going to set that aside because I'm not going to use it. I'm energetic, but not quite that energetic. Okay, so let's read our directions together. We've adjusted the oven racks so that the pie will be in the middle. It's really important when you think about when you're baking, you want your food that's baking in the center of the oven for adequate circulation of heat. And I'm preheating. Whoops, this got a little hot. I'm going to turn it down to 350 is what I ask you to do, and that's what we're going to need. So the oven is preheating while we're doing these other things. It's always nice to have all your ingredients gathered and ready to work and all of the tools that you're going to need. I think I re-emphasized in my instructions, or written instructions, that you need a glass bowl to beat meringues or egg whites. Whoops, I don't have a rubber bowl or plastic of some sort will absorb fat and it'll stay down in the plastic, and you don't know that, but that really makes a difference in the success in beating egg whites. So I hope you follow directions and have a glass or a metal bowl. I use my metal bowl with my mixer a lot for that purpose too. I ask you to have a small bowl, and you'll understand in just a few minutes. I also ask for you to have 4 eggs at room temperature. It only takes about 30 minutes to bring them to room temperature. We store them in the refrigerator, and they need to come out because I want you to be successful in beating these egg whites. If they're at room temperature, you're going to be more successful. So let's start separating eggs. Meringue is that white, sweet stuff that's on top of cream pies. It could be whipped cream, but we're going to do meringue. And then it's baked to a nice golden brown. So lemon meringue, chocolate meringue, butterscotch meringue, all kinds of meringue pies. It's really tasty. And a meringue is a really great cooking skill. And oftentimes, a lot of adults will tell me aside, and they'll go, I cannot make a successful meringue pie. Well, I'm here to tell you there's a few steps that if everybody follows, everybody can be successful at making meringue and putting it on top of those delicious pies. Okay, so let's start separating eggs. This is my bowl I'm going to eventually beat the egg whites in. This is my container I'm going to put the egg yolks in because I want to save them. I can use those for scrambled eggs or put them in something else. And this is my little bowl that I'm going to collect egg whites one at a time as I separate them. Okay? So we've got a few steps to do here. And you're going to say, Debbie, why one at a time? Well, let's talk about that. Let's go back. Eggs have to be broken apart. And if you're just beginning to cook, that's one of those things you go, how do people do this? I have only done it one way in my life, and I'm old, and it's really hard for me to learn new things sometimes. So what I do, I think about the egg as it's a hinge, and it's opening up. And I have to have my thumbs here to open up, but I've got to have a little crack to get started. And I don't want any shell into my food, so I've got to be real careful and thoughtful. So I'm going to place my egg separator right on top of the small bowl. Have you got yours there? And then how I crack an egg, and this is Debbie's way, and I bet someone in your life can show you how they do, or you could experiment and use the eggs for scrambled eggs again if you have a few mistakes. Anyway, I tap it right in the middle on the edge of the counter, and trust me, I've made messes before. I hope I don't today. And then right where it's cracked, I unhinge it or open it. I'm going to aim for that yolk to go right in the middle of that egg separator, and see, it's still kind of hinged together. So I'm going to put that eggshell back in there. I'm going to bring this a little closer to the camera. So here's our egg. Oh my goodness, that's a very good egg when the egg yolk is kind of thick, okay? But it's going to separate, and I'm going to shake it. But you know what? I do not want to break that egg yolk at all. It's going to stay intact. It's going to stay an egg yolk, and I can gently kind of work that egg white off the bottom, but I do not want to break the egg yolk. What's in the egg yolk that's so bad for meringues? It's fat. It is the fat of the egg. Okay, there we go. It slipped off by itself. If you kind of be patient. So I'm going to put the egg yolk into the measuring cup. Now, I'm going to put my clean, and there's no, let me show you, there's absolutely no yolk in this. See? It's very clear. We're going to put it into the bowl in which I'm going to mix. This is a clean glass bowl. I'm going to do the same with another egg. We're going to do a total of 3 egg whites. You say, Debbie, we have 4. If we make a mistake, we've got an extra one. And you can always put it back in the refrigerator then. So let's do our second egg. You put your first egg yolk in the bowl, in the cup or container, your clean egg white in the bowl, and now we're ready to do egg number 2. Crack that egg, unhinge it, open it, let it drop. It's going to separate, and there we go. Oh, this is great, guys. I hope yours is doing as well as mine. Aren't these egg separators cute? I just love handy tools like this. Here we go. Egg number 3. I won't go too fast. I hope you catch up here. All right. You know, eggs are a complete protein. They're one of our healthiest foods that we can have. And they have a great protective shell. If we take care of them, you know, they can last quite a while. All right. So, oh, I wouldn't put it in there, would I? Have to put it over here. Okay. 3 egg whites, no yolk. I hope you've gotten the same results. You know what? You can stop this video and you can go back and you can correct this and you can look at it, but you'll want, you know, it's really great if your egg yolks stay intact. Okay, and that's why we don't separate over the bowl. I've got a small bowl here, and if I mess up with 1 egg, it's better than the other 2 that's already in there. Okay? Got it? All right, let's put this aside. And I'll put that last egg in the refrigerator a little bit. I'm through with the egg separator. I'm going to put it in the sink. All right, let's look at our directions. 1/4 of a teaspoon of cream of tartar. Okay, you have it in the Ziploc bag. You have your 1/4 teaspoon measure. Remember I said earlier it's an acid? That acid helps stabilize egg whites so that they will beat up. I have piled it over the top. I'm taking a dinner knife and I'm leveling it, but I'm not leveling it over the bowl. That would give me too much. I want exactly what's in here. You know, when you're cooking and baking especially, it's important to measure very, very accurately all the things that you cook, but especially in baking because there's chemical reactions to make things rise and, of course, for flavoring, but follow the directions. Okay, 1/4 of a teaspoon. We're going to set that back here. We don't need it. I'm going to put the egg yolks over here. And let's take our mixer. I've got it plugged in. And let's hold it straight up so that you're not making a mess all over the kitchen. And let's start beating. So I've asked you to have a rubber scraper, a very clean rubber scraper. We don't need any fat in there. And we're going to scrape, gently, scrape the sides of the bowl. And I want you to listen to what you're doing and what I'm doing. And let's try to avoid making clanging noises against the sides of the bowl. How come? Why is this getting bigger? Why am I adding volume? What's happening here? Did you say because we're creating air bubbles? You're exactly right. So there we go. We've got more air bubbles and it's increasing in size. We're beating air into it. So an air bubble, though, can break. So we're going to try to keep all of those air bubbles in there. And step number 8, when you have soft peaks. Okay, let's see what a soft peak looks like. I can get that to peak, but it doesn't stand up. It falls over. That's a soft peak. It started out foamy, and now we have soft peaks. Okay, next step. Again, important tip for those folks that have trouble making meringues, but you're knowing some really special tips. I have my 6+ tablespoons of sugar, but I'm going to measure accurately here. I have a tablespoon measure, obviously a lot bigger, 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon. And a tablespoon at a time, we're going to sprinkle. I'm going to sprinkle a little at a time, and then I'm going to beat the egg whites. I have 6 of these to do, so this is number 1. And you're doing the same thing, trying to avoid hitting the sides of the bowl. I'm going to sprinkle more. I do about 3 sprinkles per tablespoon. I'm going to stop. I'm going to put my, notice I'm just kind of shaking this level, and that's okay with this. I'm going to sprinkle. This is number 2. I'm going to pick up my bowl and kind of see if it'll go down in the corner here a little bit easier. Oh, that works good. And about every second tablespoon, we're going to scrape down the sides, scrape it off on the beaters. We're ready for tablespoon number 3. Sprinkle. 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 Notice this is slowly. I've got 4 tablespoons in. Here starts number 5. Sprinkle, sprinkle. And we're ready for our last one. I'm going to scrape down the sides of the bowl again, make sure I get everything off. Changed, hasn't it? It won't come out of the bowl. That's stiff peaks. So we're down to our last tablespoon of sugar. Trying to make sure you can see. Okay, let's take a look at these peaks. These are stiff peaks, they're shiny, and look at that. Stands up on its own. Okay, stiff peaks. You know what soft peaks are, and you know foamy. We have one more thing to do the meringue. We have vanilla. And that is a 1/2 teaspoon. Again, I am not going to measure over the bowl. It's real tempting, it's a bad habit. So if you need to measure over something in case you spill, I'm going to measure over this extra measuring spoon. Okay, it's full. I'm going to put that in. Put the lid back on my vanilla so I don't spill it. And just beat this for 10 seconds to mix it up good. Vanilla adds flavor. It enhances what when we're, it's in about everything. I'm slowly at low speed lifting this up so I don't whip. Okay, beautiful. I hope yours looks like this. Isn't this exciting? Little chemistry here, food science, food safety. I'm going to make sure I unplug this. I'm awfully close to the water. You be careful too when you're around electricity and water. I was going to give you a couple of tips on things. What's the difference when we measure using these types of spoons and this spoon. Well, this has a pouring spout. It's also clear. 2 cups is here. There's still room at the top. When this is full, this is 1 cup when it's leveled off. These are called dry measuring cups. Liquid has a spout. It's clear, and you can see through. If I put a cup of water, which is hard for you to see, for me to make sure I have a cup, I have to get down at eye level, and it's called a meniscus, and it's the center of a liquid is lower than the edges. So you look across to make sure you've got the correct volume in there, whatever that is. So have both types of measuring devices and measuring equipment in your kitchen. A good set of standard measuring spoons. This isn't spoons that we eat with. They're measurements. So you don't have to have a lot, but just those good, a set of dry measure, liquid measuring cups, and good measuring spoons. All right, meringue. Hope yours is nice looking as that too. All right, oven is preheated. It told me it was hot, so let's get busy filling our meringue over the pudding. Okay, pudding. You know, I didn't get a spoon to dip the pudding. Just a second. I made coconut. I'm absolutely terribly fond of coconut. So I'm going to put my pie filling in. Should I put chocolate chips in one? I think I will. Got some chocolate chips here. Do you like Mounds bars? Could be a new invention. So we'll put some chocolate chips in the rest of it. And chocolate and coconut, pretty good combination. It's not in the oven very long, so it will melt a little. I think it'll be pretty tasty. Put a little bit on that one too. You're going to have leftover pudding. So you can eat it just as pudding, or when the pies are done, chill them good and you've got a nice little pie, or you could put it, you're going to have leftover meringue. Tell you what, let's do something here. I'm going to put, maybe this is the diet pie. I'll just put it in a baking dish, and we'll put a little meringue on that. What do you think? Okay. I really like this Instant Pudding brand. It's very tasty, and it was easy to make some changes. Okay, I'll quit talking. The meringue you want it, we're going to put dollops. We'll just call it dollops on top of it. So put about, there's a big dollop. There's a big dollop. But what I'm going to do, and I'd like to come closer to the camera, I want to seal the meringue right down to the pie pan. So there's no gap, there's no hole. See how I'm sealing it? That's what you want to do. So when I say sealing it, I'm sealing it to the edge of the pie pan. And gosh darn, this looks fun. Oftentimes people get whipped cream and meringue used kind of interchangeably, but they are very different. The whipped cream is your whipping cream that you've incorporated air into, but it has a lot of fat in it, and different set of instructions for that. But same thing, you're incorporating air to make the volume. But meringues are pretty darn cool. Now, obviously we have milk in the pudding, and you have go. So here's what I like to do. I like to make little peaks. Whoops, I'm trying to make little peaks. Put it in the oven, and we're going to bake it for, the directions said 12 minutes until golden brown. You might want to check it at about 10 or 11 minutes. Rather than opening the door, I hope you have a glass in the door of your oven. Every time you open, the heat changes. So, and again, volume of these little pies. You're not going to wait 12 minutes for me while the pie is baking. I'm going to come back and we'll tack this on to the end of this video. Okay? All right, let's bake our pies, and then I'd love to be able to see what you're doing. That would have been fun had we been interactive, but I really appreciate your being here. We're going to bake this until it's golden brown. I'll see if I can add what mine looked like, but you know what golden brown is. So if I don't see you again in this video series, thank you for being a part of our 4-H Crowder virtual camp. First one ever, and I think it's going to be a good camp. We're just getting started, and I hope you enjoy every bit of it, and hopefully next summer we'll see you at Camp Crowder. But this is a great option to be in touch with you and let you know that we're all excited to have 4-H programming, and if this is what we can do this year, then so be it. So happy cooking!